Welcome to the Catalyst Life Coaching Podcast with John Kim and Noelle Cordeaux. If you're inspired to begin your own life coaching practice or just want to learn a little bit more about what it's all about, visit JRNI.co. That's JRNI.co for more information. Your adventure awaits.
On today's episode, the future of coaching and wellness, and we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can. And with me this morning is Noelle Cordeaux. Noelle, you there?
I'm here. You sound like you have a cold.
No, it's just this is my morning voice.
Well, good morning.
Yeah, I kind of prefer sexy over cold, but I'll take cold.
Hey, man, it's me. Take what you can get.
So, the future of coaching and wellness, this is actually a huge topic these days.
Yeah, and as we do, I really thought it would be both interesting and important to give folks that tune into our podcast a really honest and hopeful view of what I have personally experienced over the last several months as we've kind of waded out further into the depths of the wellness field. And I wanted to get your take on it as well.
Sure.
And kind of figure it out. So I've been thinking a lot about the field of wellness, where it's going, where coaching fits into it. And what I've discovered is that coaching is emerging. Yes, we say that all the time. But the reality is that there is so much market positioning for coaching to exist. You just have to be able to see things where they don't currently exist and then be brave enough to insert yourself into those places. And having done that, it's worked out really, really, really beautifully. So
it creates also for people like me who are trying to build his personal brand and live on social media, it creates excitement, but also fear.
I agree with you. And before I jumped out of the matrix, as I like to call it, left my 9-to-5, left my normal life behind, I always took my paychecks for granted. The end of the month came and I got paid.
Right.
And now that I have a completely different kind of existence, there are two things. Number one, I don't take paychecks for granted anymore at all. I actually have a better relationship with money and appreciation of possessions. But the second thing that happened is I realized that this whole time I was just somebody else's bad decision away from not getting a paycheck. So it was this false sense of security.
Right.
And we're going to talk about jobs in a little bit because that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. But I think we should kind of back way up, and I'll give you the premise for, where I'm coming from. So JRNI, along with the Catalyst Life Coaching Intensive, has begun to aggressively seek and build strategic partnerships. And what that means is that we're looking for existing organizations, companies, slices of the industry that have a need to employ and partner with coaches to join us so that our coaches can gain employment, gain brand exposure, partner with other folks. And there have been a couple of things that I've noticed throughout this experience. It sounds kind of big and scary, like, oh God, me 10 years ago when I started coaching would have hid under the table about the prospect of having to do this work. But now that I'm out there doing it, one of the things that I've really come to genuinely adore about the wellness industry is how nice everyone is. And
even in the startup world, even in the corporate, right?
100%. 100%. Wisdom 2.0, Wanderlust, Even Flow, talking to all of the really beautiful organizations out there that we're working with. These are nice people.
Do you think it's because their hearts are where our hearts are, meaning they're just trying to create a platform to help other people and do good in the world?
I think so, and I think that it comes from a passion place too. If like Wanderlust is they're my favorites right now. I love these people from start to finish. Their whole organization is filled with really rad individuals.
Hmm.
And Wanderlust started out because the founders just love yoga and wanted to help others connect with their body in this way. And I think that the whole organization stems from that seed of passion.
Right. And by the way, we just did a Wonderlust Festival. It was our first one, and man, it was meaningful. It was great to just like get in the tent and do sessions and hang out with our catalysts and give back and meet new people and tap into their community.
Yeah, and that I think that that experience that we shared is a really fantastic example of coaching coming to life where it had never existed before.
Right.
And it took, not so much looking for the opportunity, but looking for the lack of opportunity and saying, oh, there's a big hole there. Coaching could go there. And then asking, for that placement. And what was your take? I mean, what did you think about the folks at the festival, getting to be with our coaches? What was it like for you?
One of the things that I realize is the temperature is very ripe for people to be coached. What I mean by that is, I thought maybe if we had a tent where we're offering coaching, that people would stay away from it because they don't want to be seen, or the stigma of self help. And I know it's like that with therapy, but it was the complete opposite. People were interested in taking advantage of the free sessions, and um, we were doing sessions right outside the tent. People were taking pictures, and I it was great. I loved it, and I think that it just shows that the world is open to being coached. The world's open to life coaching and not being ashamed of it, and that it's a luxury, that it's just a thing that we do these days.
Absolutely. We were totally slammed at that tent. And the experience exceeded my expectations on every front.
Hmm.
Our coaches had a marvelous time. So, one of the things that young coaches face is the can I do this barrier, right?
Right.
And I typed up scripts, I typed up resources. You and I were both there on hand in the tent in case anything got weird. And everybody was so scared, so scared. This was the first time they had ever done live coaching before,
Yeah.
a big deal audience, and everybody did great.
That's the other piece is if you're a life coach, sometimes you just jump in, and our life coaches jumped in, and I was impressed, and they were crushing it, and they felt empowered, and I was like, wow, this is great.
And not a single person used my scripts.
Yes, which is I don't know if that was offensive to you, which
No,
was
I
actually a
don't
good
care.
thing. Yeah, because that meant that they had just had the confidence just to just be them.
Well, and they knew what they were doing. So I think it was really validating for the way that we train coaches because we don't train people with scripts. We
Right.
train people based on theory and framework and a deep understanding of how the brain works.
Yeah, it's like take what we teach you, put it through your filter, and let it come out the way that is uniquely yours.
Exactly. Because when you're working with a real live human, the scripts go out the window.
Right.
When was the last time you had a conversation go exactly the way you wanted
No,
it to?
never, never,
Never, ever.
including this one.
Right. Humans are unpredictable creatures. But so, that brings me to a next really important point. So why are humans really open to coaching right now? So another one of the things that I've been thinking about for Journey at the organizational level is how to create jobs
Hmm.
because we're living through a really incredible time. And I think that over the next 20 years, we're going to begin to see a lot of changes in our workforce, jobs that are available, opportunities that are available. And not only is the wellness industry filled with really nice people, but I believe it is an industry that has the capacity to withstand a recession. And I don't say that lightly. The reason for it is that the entire wellness marketplace is being driven by two forces right now. And I didn't say two forces 6 months ago, I said one force, and it's changed so rapidly.
Mm.
Millennials. are one of the forces that's driving the wellness industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Millennials, yeah, they're sick of the bullshit. They're 100% sick of the bullshit. They want holistic, whole health, full body wellness. They look at their bodies and their minds as a tool, as
Hmm.
an engine. They want to consume authentic products. They don't want people to lie to them about what they're receiving. They like small things. They're limiting their possessions. They're seeking experiences. And this generation is going to change the way that we experience our consumer life because most brands and most companies don't know how to deal with them. They don't know how to reckon with them. They don't know how to sell to them. And I look at this and I'm saying, y'all are missing the point. They don't want to be sold, guys. Like,
I
that's the
I uh, I
point.
have a lot of millennial friends, and I kind of observe them, and they're like aliens, meaning they're like the advanced species, and the way that they multitask and the way that they think and all of that, it just like blows my mind. They're like different creatures.
Yeah. And okay, so here's the second point is that the wellness industry is secondarily being driven by the emerging middle class consumer
Mm,
that is also sick of the bullshit,
right.
that is also 100% sick of being sold to, wants authentic brands, wants authentic services, is sick of the medical model that says you have to wait for there to be a problem in order for you to get help or experience wellness. They're saying no, wellness can exist, in the absence of illness, um, which is a really definitive point that our society is kind of pivoting on right now. And this market expands beyond the borders of the United States. It's really becoming a global movement. South America is seeing the biggest increases in life coaching right now.
Mm. So, like, life coaching back when I was going to therapy school was more for the affluent people who had money. Business coaching was huge. Now it's more for the masses, you're saying.
It's 100% more for the masses. And, that brings me to my third point, which is something that I care very deeply about, which is sustainability in the environment. And the wellness industry um, does a lot to support sustainability and to support environmental protection. Think about beautifully curated wellness retreats,
Mm-hmm.
like Wanderlust or like the retreat that you're going to do in Bali or Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is an industry that brings jobs into really beautiful places that need to be protected
Sure.
and supports local communities in sustainable growth through wellness tourism. And I think that the wellness industry could do a lot more to highlight how much good they do for sustainability and for the environment. And it's just kind of something that's done in a really beautiful, unspoken way, which I think again speaks to kind of the authenticity of the industry as a whole, where they could be marketing the hell out of it and they're not. It's just kind of the way things are.
Yeah. It also creates a really simple, almost one-click package trip for especially people like me who don't know how to or not used to traveling, where you just a retreat is all in one. So you just go. All you have to do is just get on a plane.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of our coaches is developing a life-changing personal development experience in Costa Rica.
Mm,
Because, like you said, a lot of times when people just get on a plane, they don't know what to expect.
right.
And she's building this retreat where folks actually get to experience kind of life off the grid and really immerse themselves in adventure and grow and change with a safety net, but you don't feel it so much when you're there and you
Right.
come out of it a different person.
So one of the most common questions I get, whether it's via email or Instagram or in person, is what are the steps, right? Like, what does it look like to life coach, and what do you do, and all of this. And the more that I'm out there, doing my thing, I realize that the, there's no one way, and the way that I've done things or the things that I'm creating can be very different than the way that you do things or someone else. And so, especially as it grows, there's so many opportunities to just be creative in the space now that there really isn't like this one path to becoming a life coach.
So the rule book has gone out the window.
Yeah, and I'm discovering. I mean, I've been in this business, for 10 years, and I'm discovering that more and more. Like, I can't even catch up because there's always new ideas, and like, oh, now there's this, and now you could, partner with this, and now there's, throw motorcycles in the mix, and suddenly people, it's like it's endless.
Yeah, it's endless, and I think that's new.
Hmm.
It used to be, start a practice, build an email list, build a newsletter,
Right.
and in the last year, everything has shifted and jumbled. And for me, that's exciting because I hate the checklist,
For me, I got to be honest with you, it's the most exciting piece. Like even like right now, I'm doing little online gathers. I'm playing around with my little versions of retreats. I'm writing books, and it's because of all these little projects that make me excited. If I was just doing individual sessions every day, and for some people that might be their dream, but for me, I would burn out. I wouldn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I started out doing that and I loved it,
Hmm.
and it was so rewarding. And now the way I see my job function is I do that, but at an organizational level.
Right.
I mean, I literally spend my day listening to people, hearing what they need, and then figuring out a path forward.
Yeah, and for
Um,
anyone that's listening, Noelle and I have very different jobs, very different lives.
yes.
We're not both life coaches anymore, right? So,
No, I run Journey,
right.
and John is my business partner, brand ambassador, and runs the Angry Therapist and helps out with Journey when I need him. And you're building your brand and doing your thing.
But I'm out like playing around in the field, and
Hmm.
you're taking care of the farm, and I'm like, you
Yeah,
know, I'll be home later,
yeah,
climbing trees and shit. Yeah.
you're like our walking test kitchen.
Exactly right. But
Yeah.
that's what I love about today's life coach is, and this is one thing that I keep encouraging our coaches and anyone else who's in this business is, don't just follow what you think you like or what you see other people doing, but really go out and explore. And you might come across something that you never thought about, or create a product that you didn't think about that is organic, and it just changes everything. And suddenly you're doing something that you never thought that you would be doing, in a different way.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that trend of rapid change and new modalities is going to continue. For me, especially now, we surpassed 300 coaches on our team.
I know it's amazing.
It's
I'm
so
so proud of that.
now, looking at the lives of 300 people, I'm so curious, what are you guys going to do?
Hmm.
How can I support you? What do you need? So it's a really beautiful time, I think.
I also want to say I appreciate you as a leader taking the mindset of, like what you just said. What are you guys going to do instead of this is what you should do?
Oh,
You know what I'm
thank
saying?
you.
Because that changes everything. I know there's a lot of other life coaching companies that run their business like a factory, and then what comes out the other side are just kind of cardboard cutouts. And not to be mean, but that's kind of what my experience was with therapy school. And the whole thing about Journey is that we're the opposite. And I love that we also encourage people to partner and create different products. So it doesn't, because when I graduated therapy school, it became very competitive. Like we went our own way and we try to outdo the other person, and we're running toward our license, and we're, how can we outrun or go get faster to creating a practice, like that kind of mindset. And it was very like me and very isolating. And I think with Journey, it's like we are stars in this solar system. Let's visit our our other planets, and let's do a project with this person, then do a project here, and how can we help each other, support each other, and kind of all work together while we're doing our own projects. So I think that's like that to me. That's the dream.
Yeah, it is the dream. And I think that, when I talk about the wellness marketplace being a place that's really full of hope, I think that mindset is everything.
Hmm.
Where I would never look at another wellness company as a competitor. I'd say, wow, we're both in the same space. We both share some level of, love for this field. It's statistically impossible for any one person, let alone an organization, to create the same thing or product. So perhaps there's alignment versus competition. And with our coaches, I think that's real. Folks have said to me, aren't you scared that the well is going to run dry? And I was like, no, the well is infinite, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I think that's the difference between an entrepreneur who has a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And so what you're
mm,
talking about and how you run this is definitely a growth mindset.
yeah, yeah, I think it comes from the two of us, our innate personalities. I don't know if you know this, but you and I are both very stubborn.
Yeah, sure.
And neither one of us like being told what to do.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
And so I'm not going to tell somebody else what to do.
Mm. Ooh, I like that. There's a self-awareness there.
Yeah, yeah. It's the second someone tells me what to do, I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, but I love that there's that side of you that's like, yeah, no, don't tell me what to do, which is cool. But then there's also that side of you that's also like, let's all do this together, but not tell each other what to do.
Exactly. That's the dream. Let's do this together, but don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, and I think that's where your potency lives. That's where community lives. It's all under the umbrella of the new.
hmm Oh yeah, very much so. So we were going to tackle some questions from your readership to kind of wrap this whole thing up, get a little
Yeah, let's
live coaching going.
we've got about 10 questions. They're just completely random, but let's try to hit them because I always like try to answer questions from my community and be engaging. Okay, one is I'm just pulling random questions here. Um, how do you begin to the road to forgiveness yourself and not hold on to past mistakes? So I'm just reading them literally, and of
Oh,
course people aren't
so
typing them
self
well.
forgiveness, are we talking about?
Yeah, it just says, how do you begin? I guess she means on. How do you begin on the road to forgiving yourself and not hold on to past mistakes?
Oh, wow. That's a really good one. This is actually something that I experienced for the first time in my life this past year.
Mm,
And it was something that I've so deeply struggled with. I beat myself up so badly, oh my God. And I had this total awakening of, and I don't even know how to explain it beyond it was a deeply spiritual experience where I was able to look at myself and my life in context and kind of lay out my story of
mm,
everything that I've been through and attach it from a factual perspective rather than a feeling perspective. And I was really like, holy shit, like I can't keep beating myself up, because I've experienced a significant level of trauma in my life. I've also experienced an incredible measure of success in my life. And what was
mm,
happening for me is that I was only looking at the dizzying outcomes of the trauma and saying, why couldn't I have it more together? Why
mm.
couldn't I XYZ? And I was just kind of like, it's like asking somebody with a broken leg to run a marathon. I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself. I don't
Right,
deserve it, you
right.
know? Um, it was it was a long time coming. I don't know how to start the process
Hmm.
except for the fact that it's worthwhile to sit down and have those conversations with yourself as if you're an old friend.
Well, I think that is the beginning, and I like that the question says, how do you begin? Because I think that it's a road and it's a process and it's not, something that happens overnight, but it's all about kind of knocking down that first domino and starting it. The intention of forgiving yourself, I think, is huge.
Mm. Yeah, the intention is everything. Intention and awareness of how of what it feels like when you're beating yourself up and what it could feel like to do things differently.
Thanks for listening to the Catalyst Life Coaching Podcast, brought to you by JRNI. If you'd like to learn more about what you've heard on today's show, visit journey.co. That's JRNI.co. And request more information about the Catalyst Life Coaching Intensive, or just keep in touch.